Hi, welcome back to Mike's Diabetes World. I was debating on whether to have them on or off. On or off. Huh. Who knows? Now, when a diabetic gets something wrong, things just seem to roll till you either get a high blood sugar or low blood sugar. We talked about some of them that raise the blood sugar in the last video. But not counting your carbs right, is an obvious one. Not dosing correctly is another obvious one. How about going out and exercising when you have ketones? Because ketones will lower your blood sugar. And I can remember the first time I ever heard of this. I was sort of in the hospital, but during the day at the hospital, you went down to what they call a diabetic daycare. Ooh. And while I was there, I was going quite high. I was in the hospital for being high. So I said, well, I should get out, go for a walk, or do some stairs. And the nurse, oh no, you can't do that. And I kind of looked at her and thought, no one's ever told me this. But why, you might ask? Well, it can push you even closer to DKA. Now, I've talked about my stories about DKA, and I really don't want DKA again. I think even being sick is A, crappy, but B, I don't want to be getting up every 5 minutes to go to the bathroom. If they put a catheter in, might be in it easy. So how many of you have had some ketones, or moderate, let's say moderate and up, and you go out and you exercise, and you find that you are having more of an issue? It's a good idea to, no matter what time you're going to exercise, is do a blood test and do a ketone test. Now, some people have, or some manufacturers have, glucometers that you just put a different strip in and you can test to see if you have ketones or not. I haven't got to that point yet. I had one, a long time ago, and I tested, but I never really thought of it because, they say over 14 you should be testing. So my suggestion, and check it with your doctor, remember I'm not a doctor, but do a finger poke, find out where your glucometer reading is, or check your pump. And if you're over 14, check for ketones. And, I'm sure some of you, especially if you're a new diabetic, is sitting there saying, what's the big thing about having ketones? You lose weight, right? Well, losing weight isn't always the greatest thing. Because you know what? With ketones, you lose weight. But you do this by becoming dehydrated. And in the last video, we talked about dehydration and how that could increase your blood sugar. Oh my God. They get you coming or going. But getting back to the question, why should we worry about ketones? Ketones ends up making your body acidic. And diabetic ketoacidosis is when you go way over the other end. And it's like your body saying, hey, over here, remember me? You need insulin. Now, I don't say you get your bottle of insulin, you draw it up, and you know what? That's it. Everything's going to be perfect. If you end up in DKA where you're very tired, you're very thirsty, you're talking until you have a drink of water, if you are vomiting, these could all be saying hello, and you need to go to emergency. Now, depending how sick you are, first of all, don't go off to emergency by yourself. I had a high blood sugar, and I wasn't aware that I was kind of just gonna go into DK. I got on the bus to go hospital, which was across town, and I ended up arriving, but not of my own accord. I ended up in a stretcher being taken in by an ambulance. The bus driver found me unconscious on the bus. Now, type 1, this is a complication where low blood sugar, hypoglycemia, is also a complication. And I was just totally amazed when I heard this. Yes, I always knew that it was sort of a side effect, but I never really thought that it was a complication of diabetes. But we all learn, don't we? So, if you start having a high blood sugar, you need to do a test. Now, I think most schools now are open to do a blood test, and if you need to go to the nurse's office, especially in elementary school, make sure they do not send your child alone. Same reason as if you think you should go to the hospital. Don't just say, okay, I'll head over there now. Is get someone to go with you. I don't care if you go on the bus. Just get someone to go with you. I think it was at the end of the line. And when this bus driver found me saying, well, you have to get off the bus. And I just sat there moaning and groaning. Ketoned, especially for pump wearers, you need to be on the ball. Ketones will come on very quickly. If your sight becomes hard and it can't accept any more insulin, is one of the reasons. 2, your tubing gets pulled out. 3, your disc or your pod has run out of insulin. Now, It's kind of like, if that happens, deal with it and make sure you have an insulin supply. Remember we talked about doctor plans. Have a plan for if you start showing ketones. Have a plan if your pump gets pulled out. Actually, come to think about it, next time I go to the doctor, I gotta get that checked out. But do it. Don't treat moderate to high ketones as, oh, it's not serious. It is. Take care. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye now.